and let's get straight to it.
Here are chart patterns. Let's get right into it. So here are my favorite type of chart patterns. You have your reversal, your continuation, and bilateral patterns, right? So reversal patterns, what does that mean? That means that at one point in time, the previous trend was once bullish and then reversed to bearish, and then vice versa. The previous trend was bearish and then paused and then reversed bullish, right? So these up top will be your bearish reversals, correct? And these will be your bullish reversals. Now, continuation patterns is when it precedes the underlying trend, right? It continues the underlying trend. So if the trend was bullish, after a pause, it needs to stay bullish. And here, right here, this was a bearish pattern, and then it stayed bearish. This was a bearish pattern, stayed bearish, right? So bilateral patterns are when it can go either way. So triangles, you'll notice that most bilateral patterns are some form of a triangle, because triangles are bilateral patterns, right? Or bilateral shapes. So symmetrical triangles can break out either direction. So you have to stay aware of that. And then you have descending triangles and ascending triangles, which can break out either way. Now, favorites. Just like I have favorite candlestick patterns, I also have favorite chart patterns, right? So, as you know, Falcons, Hawks, Atlanta Braves, Georgia, and shout out to the bottom two, because both of those won championships, right? Then my favorite foods, hot wings, jambalaya, fried rice, fried lobster tails. Those are my favorite foods. And you can add whole fish to that now. But as you know, you will have your favorites. So don't try to play every single pattern. Don't try to play every single candlestick pattern, right? Because you will have your favorites. Now I want to go over my favorites. Favorite chart pattern: symmetrical triangle, falling wedge, cup and handle, bull flag, pennant. Now granted, I'm going to explain all 5 of these patterns to you so that you can understand them and know what time frames to find them on. Now, here's a secret. You can literally find these on every single time frame. Even the 5-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the weekly, even the daily chart. So all of these patterns can be found on all time frames. And I do use all time frames. But when you're swing trading, you might want to look at the hourly, 4-hour, weekly, and daily. Now, day trading, you can find them on the 1 minute, 5-minute, correct? Now, bull flag pattern is going to be your most used pattern. You're going to see this a lot. This is a common pattern you'll see, bull and bear flags, right? So look at it as if someone is walking down some steps and then jumping, as high as they can after that, right? So that's kind of how I look at bull flag pattern. It's like a slope going downward, but you have to recognize that this slope is going downward after an uptrend. So you want to see a trend prior to that downward slope, and that's how you know that's going to continue. So let's look at it. You have Shopify. We have a trend, right? A uptrend. Then we have a staircase going up and down, and then what happens? It breaks out into this big old breakout, right? So bull flag patterns are something you don't want to miss. Now, I want to give you guys a little secret. Always try to trim when it gets to the top right here. So if you see that it's breaking tops, trim and then re-add if it goes back above it, right? Now, I have another secret. The length of the flagpole is also the approximate target for your bull flag, right? So what does that mean? That means the length of this, which is your flagpole, you can apply that same. So you can, if you were to draw a line, correct, right here, you can apply that same line, copy and paste it to the breakout, and it will be your breakout, and it'll be somewhere right here, right? So bull flag patterns can be pretty much predictable as to where they're going. And right here, right, this is on a 5-minute chart. So I'm showing you different time frames. So bull flag patterns are best also when they're coming off of MAs and supports and stuff like that as well. So we have a bull flag pattern on a 5-minute, and after it broke out, as you can see, the length of this you can apply to the breakout, and it even went higher than that. So you always want to see, and pretty much I like to play all bull flag patterns I see. They are high probability, and they are the most high probability pattern in my opinion. And as you can see, Amazon on a 5-minute chart. So I showed you a daily chart, and I'm showing you again 5-minute chart off the 8 EMA. Look what happens. It goes crazy, right? Bull flag patterns are undefeated, and you will not want to miss them. And then you have bear flag patterns, right? Look at this on the 5-minute chart. Boom, 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 boom. So this one bear flag 4 times in one pattern on the 5-minute chart. So you do want to take into account that this is a universal pattern, and you can use them for anything. Now it's the opposite. Remember, the bull flag pattern was going upward, sloping downward, correct? Now the bear flag pattern slopes upward. So it's a difference. It's the opposite, but you got to recognize that. You know what I mean? You have to recognize when something is bull or bear flagging, and it's easy. Now, triangles. Whether it's a symmetrical triangle or a pennant, you're going to learn that 5-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, no matter what, triangles are a triangle. So just draw the triangle. Don't worry about whether it's a symmetrical triangle or a pennant. It's a triangle, and they break out the same. So this is the 1 hour. You see Apple had a triangle, right? So this would be considered a pennant probably, because after it broke, and you'll be able to tell if it's a triangle because it starts to converge, right? Everything starts to converge when it's a triangle. So right here we have Apple, and look what happened when this triangle broke out. It went bunkers, right? And then fastly on the 1 hour, as you can see, a triangle, then it broke out. Even here too, we have another triangle. When it looks like a cone, you'll know that that's a triangle. When this, converging just like that into a cone, it's a triangle. And even on the 5-minute chart, then now this could have been a 1 minute, it would have, looked the same too. But look at this, a triangle. Then it breaks out, right? So you always want to take into account of triangles, because this will help you when it comes to trading the patterns. And then we have SQ on the 4 hour. We're looking at all different types of time frames. Another triangle that broke downward, correct? Now, I have another secret. Take profits at mountaintops. So what does that mean? As you can see right here, after it broke out, right, I tell you guys, always take profits at the top of the triangle. So as you can see, this is the top of the triangle. This is where you take profits. Just like the bull flag, you want to kind of trim at the top, because things can reverse, as you can see. Even this one, right? This triangle broke out, but as you can see, it reversed near the top. So you always want to either trim or take profits near the top of these patterns, right? So you draw an imaginary line at the top, and this is where you take profits, because it could reverse from there. This is going to be one of your best and biggest breakouts, right? So if you can figure out how to find these, whether it's on the 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly. Now these are in bigger time frames, falling wedges. Now these things, in my opinion, are like volcanoes. So these take longer to form. They take months to form, usually. So I like to play these personally on the daily chart. And I'm going to show you a group of falling wedges that went bunkers and why I compare them to volcanoes. So why is this like a volcano? Because volcanoes usually erupt every 50 to 100 to 20 years, right? like a long time. So square, this took about 3 months to form, and what you'll learn is the longer it takes the pattern to form, the bigger the explosion, the breakout, correct? So in order to figure out where this thing is going, you would take this line, correct, and apply it to the breakout. But in actuality, you just need to be focused on finding and catching these patterns because they are very high probability and they have strong breakouts. And they usually reach the top of the pattern as the target. If you really want to know the targets, it's usually the top of the pattern. Just keeping it simple for you guys. Look at this one, right? A falling wedge on the daily chart. And look what happened. This thing took 2 months, 3 months to form, and the breakout was insane. Like a volcano, right? It erupts after a long time of forming. Even here, right? ACB, a row of cannabis. This is one I caught myself. So I caught the SQ and the row of cannabis breakouts. Now look at this. You see where it went? It went to the top of the pattern. So that's the target if you guys just want to be technical. And you have 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, right? So after it broke out with some volume, right, with rising volume, look what happened. It reaches the top. So you always, and remember, these things take about 2 to 3 months to form, 2 to 4 months to form. It shouldn't take more than 4, right? Now, cup and handle patterns. This will be one of the most high probability patterns you'll see, but they're very rare to find. You really won't find these. You will find them on a 5-minute time frame sometimes. Lower time frames, they're the most common, but they're very hard to find on daily time frames. Now, I compare these as a teacup, you know, like the Get Out movie, cup and handle, right? So just you have your cup form and then you have your handle, correct? Now, here it is. You have your cup and then you have your handle, and here's the breakout. Now, I did make a lot of money off of this. I made about $3,000 3 or 4 years ago. Now, granted, $3,000 a lot of money isn't a lot of money, you know, but it's something. And I caught the breakout, and it takes about 1 to 2 months for the cup to form and 1 week for the handle to form. But all of the technicals and stuff do and don't make sense. Just focus on catching the pattern. When you see a pattern, you'll be able to visually recognize whether that is it. Especially when you see high volume on the breakout. That represents that it's probably going to go. So you see that when it broke out with high volume.